When the real daughter was diagnosed with cancer, everyone hated me for stealing her life and demanded I atone for it. She caught a cold at school, and my dad hit me for not taking care of my sister. When she broke her leg from not listening to advice, my brother broke mine with a baseball bat. Even when she fell for the only boyfriend who was kind to me, I was pressured to give him up. I refused, and my sister nearly fainted crying in my mother's arms. Mom angrily scolded me, saying I'd never repay what I owed her in this lifetime. I swallowed the blood and forced a bitter smile, saying, "I will repay it, Mom, and I'll be done soon." They didn't know I was dying, and certainly didn't know the medical records my sister took were actually mine. The day the real daughter came home, I was at the hospital waiting for test results. But before I got them, my brother called. "Linda, the whole family is waiting on you. Don't you know today is Clara's homecoming?" "Brother, I'm at the hospital," I whispered, looking at my pale reflection in the glass window while gripping my phone. Henry, who once loved me dearly, was impatient as he snapped, "Linda, stop playing games. This act doesn't work anymore. If you don't come back, I'll throw all your stuff out and you'll never come home again." I slumped against the cold chair, letting out a small, emotionless laugh. Right, ever since they found out I wasn't their real daughter, they hated me for stealing their true daughter's life. Even Henry, who cherished me like treasure, showed disgust for the first time. When no one was around, he choked me, pinned me to walls, and used the nastiest words to insult me. But it didn't matter anymore. Clara was back, and it seemed I could leave. I came back to the house at a bad time, catching Clara and Mom in a teary embrace. Henry, who had been smiling at Clara just moments before, saw me and strode over, slapping me hard across the face. "How dare you show your face?" he snarled, dragging me like a rag to face Clara. Clara looked out from Mom's embrace at me with a mix of curiosity and schadenfreude. "So you're the one who stole my happiness and health. You're so pretty, unlike me, growing up in the countryside without your privileges. If our lives weren't swapped, maybe I wouldn't be sick." Henry kicked the back of my knees, forcing me to kneel. When I resisted, he slapped me again. He spat, "You're just like your biological parents, all of you are scum." Mom hissed through gritted teeth, "Clara was abused by your real parents and now has incurable cancer. We cherished you for 18 years, and it pains me more than death to think we cared for our enemy." I looked up at Clara, her cheeks rosy, showing no trace of someone dying of cancer. I just wanted to know one thing. Now that Clara was back, could I leave? The room fell into a dead silence. When they realized I was asking to leave, Henry choked me harder, and I started to black out. Clara squatted in front of me, her touch unsettling as she stroked my face. "Sister, you probably didn't know. The day I discovered my background, your parents died in a car accident." Henry loosened his grip, and I collapsed at Clara's feet like a broken kite, wings clipped, crashing hard. Her polished shoe pressed on my hand, and her wide skirt hid her actions as she ground my hand into the floor. "So just stay here and atone, sister." That night, I moved from my princess room to the basement, living among moldy old furniture. Clara wanted to see how miserable I was, but the parents stopped her. "Clara, sweetie, the basement air isn't good for your health," they said, guiding her upstairs to sleep. And there I was like a dying fish, clutching Henry's sleeve, trying to focus on his godlike face twisted in a devilish smile. Henry looked down on me like a predator bored of its prey, and released his grip on my neck. I felt the bed beneath me dampened by my sweat, my mouth slightly open as I gasped, looking at him. "See how lowly you are compared to my precious sister," he sneered. "You should end up like your vile parents, dead and like garbage, to make it up to Clara." I didn't refute a word, knowing Henry would hit harder if I did. He found no pleasure in my silent acceptance and turned to leave. "Henry," I called, my voice stopping him. He looked back, disgust undisguised, suspicious of my next move. But when he saw my disheveled shirt, revealing moonlit skin and a young woman's shape, he hesitated for a moment. My pale, tear-glossed eyes and flushed cheeks all seemed to imply Henry had done something monstrous to the sister he'd cherished all these years. "Linda, have you no shame?" He spat, Adam's apple bobbing. "You love me being this lowly, don't you?" I murmured, glancing down as I asked softly, "Henry, after you found out I wasn't your real sister, were you relieved? Now you can do whatever you've always wanted." "Are you crazy?" "Nope, you're the one who's nuts." I bet plenty of folks would love to see a forbidden love story between siblings from a rich family. Wouldn't our parents just kick us out together if they saw? Or would your precious little sis die of anger because of us? The sarcasm on my lips about pierced his eyes. If you come to me again, I'll strip a piece of clothing right in front of you. Guess how many cameras I've got in the room? You wouldn't dare. Henry clenched his fists. My gaze was firm. I've got nothing to lose now. Try me. Henry slammed the basement door against the wall. Meanwhile, I clutched my chest and let out a sigh of relief. It was risky but effective. If I'm having a hard time, everyone should too. Sure, there's a big physical difference between men and women, but if I can't beat Henry in a fight, can I gross him out? Clara got thrown into the elite school I attended. Students here are either wealthy or well-connected. With her slick talk, a hospital case file, and her ability to cry at will, Clara painted me as the thief who stole her happy life. Even though the mix-up was the nurse's fault and not my parents switching us on purpose. But when folks heard she had a rough time with my biological parents and got cancer because of it, they turned on me. Some tried to console Clara by acting out, tossing my books in the boys' bathroom or pushing me down from behind while I walked. They sneered down at me. Hey Linda, thought you were the ice queen? She's not an ice queen, just shameless. Clara hid her laugh behind her hand. Don't be so harsh on her, even if she did give me cancer. She's still my sister. She crouched in front of me, summer breeze ruffling her hair. Sis, Mom didn't want you in school anymore. I said we could use an assistant at school, that's why she let you stay. So be sure to serve me well here. I looked at her innocent-looking face, knowing she wanted to provoke me. Someone in the crowd was already recording us with their phone. I got up speaking with indifference. Thanks, sis. Clara looked stunned, not expecting me to be so spineless. Behind the school, David lounged against the wall, flicking a lighter. When he saw me, he quickly put out his cigarette. You doing okay? David asked, cautious. I buried my face in his chest, voice muffled. Not really, no. David had heard the rumors and knew I was the outcast. But he wasn't curious about the real daughter. He treasured me, the fake princess. After comforting me, he shared some bad news. You're gonna die. Oh, what? David tilted my chin up, making me look at him. He expected me to be heartless, but was caught off guard by my teary eyes. I wiped my tears and asked, where's the report? I want to see how I'm supposedly gonna die. He scratched his head, embarrassed. My mom told me to take care of you, push you to eat and drink and not stress. Why do you say I'm gonna die, though? Because my mom only says that to patients with late-stage cancer. I was speechless, just staring at the wall. My life's like a tragic movie. After living a charmed life for 18 years, dodging reality, I'm hit with a sick punchline, pitting me against those I love. But in my heart, they're family. Recently, I'd felt sharp pain in my gut, like it'd wind me. If it got worse, I'd pass out. So I went to David's mom's hospital for a checkup. Got diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer. David asked, should you tell your folks? I thought about it. Tossing the report at them would just make them happy, thinking justice was served. So no, I don't want them gaining joy from my pain. By evening, the sky was lit with a sunset that was all shades of vibrant like a girl's twirling skirt. I stepped into the house, only to be greeted by a cup hitting my forehead. Blood streamed down, but the pain couldn't hide the hate inside me. Mom, Wendy cradled Clara, reminding me of how she'd swaddle me when I was sick. I used to be her treasure too. But now I was a thorn. Clara faked a cough. Dad, don't be harsh on sis. Even if she tossed my coat in the boys' restroom, I don't blame her. Wendy's anger flared. It's my fault for letting her school with you. I'll make her leave. Clara hurried to stop her. Mom, she's been your daughter for 18 years. If you kick her out, what'll people say about you? Dad, Mike sat on the couch, seemingly burdened. He cared about the family's reputation, wouldn't let me tarnish it. I wiped the blood with my sleeve, coldly telling Mike and Wendy, relax, once I get into college I'll leave. Mike scoffed, I thought you'd be more dignified. But here you are, shamelessly squatting in my house. I ground my back teeth, quickly calculating how much money is in my little stash. If this house can't accommodate me, then I really don't need to stay any longer. But when I got back to the basement and searched all the boxes, I couldn't find my piggy bank. Sis, are you looking for something? Looking for this, maybe? My spine went stiff as I turned around to see Clara holding my piggy bank. Give it back. Clara dodged my reach. You still don't get it, do you? Is this money yours? It's the family's, you're not taking a cent. I gritted my teeth, and what about my real parents' money? Aren't you supposed to give me that back? Clara squinted slightly. They're dead. I'm their legal daughter, so their money is mine. I looked at her once cute, innocent face now twisted with hatred and slapped her hard across the face. Clara looked at me, stunned. Did you just hit me? Ha, you actually hit me? She covered her cheek, eventually laughing. Good for you. Really good for you. Later that night, Clara ran to Henry's room crying, telling him I hit her. Soon Henry stormed into my room, yanking me roughly out of bed. And you still have the nerve to sleep? How dare you hit Clara? Do you know she got stomach cancer because of you? I was having trouble sleeping because of my condition, and I had barely fallen asleep when Henry woke me up. I fumbled to grab the scissors hidden under my bed and, without any hesitation, stabbed them into his arm. Go to hell. Panting heavily, I tried to suppress my fear as I watched Henry stand there, stunned. Ah, brother. Clara appeared at the basement entrance, saw Henry had been stabbed, and quickly ran down. Henry threw the scissors on the ground, glared at me, and left with Clara. Upstairs, as Clara tearfully bandaged Henry's wound, Henry sighed, Don't tell Mom and Dad about this. Clara stopped crying halfway through, confused. Did Henry still see Linda as his real sister? Henry closed his eyes, remembering the time Linda made him a handmade gift and accidentally cut her hand. Back then, he told Linda dangerous things like that should only be used to protect yourself. Little Linda was adorable, nodding her head in agreement. Now she took his words to heart, using the scissors for self-defense. Ironically, the one who once told her to protect herself became the one hurting her. While Henry wrestled with himself internally, he didn't notice Clara's murderous gaze. The following morning, Henry regretted his recent actions, made breakfast, and went to the basement to call Linda up for a meal, hoping to ease the tension. But when he opened the basement door, he was shocked to find it empty. The bed was cold, neatly made. She left? Henry couldn't believe his eyes. After a long while, the realization that Linda had left truly sunk in. Mom, Linda left. Wendy, putting food in Clara's bowl, shrugged. So? We raised her for so long and didn't even charge her rent. Henry, frustrated, tossed his chopsticks onto the table. What's wrong with you? I'm done. As Henry stormed out, Clara watched him, lost in thought. Outside the school's breakfast stand, students who didn't have breakfast at home often grabbed a bite there. David and I sat at a small table with a bowl of porridge in front of us, topped with a golden layer of millet oil. He peeled a boiled egg for me, then stopped, realizing I forgot my mom mentioned you can't have eggs right now. Last night I left quietly with just my phone, some clothes, and a suitcase. I called David, waking him up. He wasn't angry, just concerned if I was hurt. I lied, saying I wasn't, but when he saw the blood stuck to my hair, it was the first time I saw him angry. He wanted to confront them, but I quickly stopped him. Consider it as paying them back for raising me. I owe them nothing now. David's heart broke. You fool, you never owed them. You were switched at birth, there was no nurse's mistake, it was a lie. I froze. David, no longer holding back, told me everything. Turns out, in '06, Clara and I were born in the hospital where David's mom worked. The nursery had security cameras, and years later, when our backgrounds were investigated, they found someone purposely swapped us. My hand trembled around the porcelain spoon. Who did it? David said a name and I blacked out. I never suspected it. But then I laughed. When Mike and Wendy's secret gets out, Clara and Henry's expressions will be priceless. David took me to a friend's in near school and paid for a 3-month stay. I don't know how much longer I have, one day at a time. Living miserably or happily, both are living. Though my appetite's gone, barely eating twice a day. David noticed I was losing weight and turned away from me, crying multiple times. My parents didn't come to see me once during this time. Not even Clara came to mess with me at school. I thought Clara hated me because she felt I stole her life. I returned Mom and Dad to her, so I thought she'd leave me alone. But I underestimated Clara's audacity. Someone posted photos of David and me on the bulletin board. The caption read, Linda got thrown out of her house, lowering herself to be with the school's heartthrob, David. As I stood on the walkway between the main gate and the academic building, there were photos of David and me entering a hotel. The early May sun touched my skin, but I felt no warmth. Classmates pointed at the pictures, murmuring. I stood frozen, unable to move. Isn't that Linda? She used to act so high and mighty. Now kicked out, and she's already hitting up the star student David. So shameless, it's embarrassing for girls everywhere. Come on guys, someone added, cut her some slack. She's got nothing now, all she can do is cling to David. How much do you think she charges? I'd like to know. The hostile stares from everyone felt like they were piercing my back. I turned around and was slapped across the face. It was Henry. You're unbelievable, Linda, he yelled. He grabbed my wrist with force, his eyes blazing with fury. I held the side of my swelling face, surprised Henry was even here. Shouldn't you be on your way to the company? I thought. He accused, so that's why you left home. Already sold yourself to someone else, huh? The classmates who once admired me now looked on with twisted amusement. My heart pounded, struggling to keep composure. We're not related, I said to Henry. Clara's your sister now, not me. You have no right to control me. Henry laughed bitterly, pulling me close. Did you leave your camera on when you left? You were going to blackmail me with photos, right? David's someone you like. How would he react if he knew you seduced me? Those words sent chills through me. Fear following confusion. I had only threatened Henry about the camera. I never actually set one up. But Henry seemed serious. Could it be true? Was there really a camera in the room? Let her go. David shouted, grabbing Henry's arm. She's not your family anymore. What gives you the right to take her? Our classmates watched intently, while Clara glared at me with possessive envy. She hated me for what she thought I stole from her. If her life followed mine, she'd be with someone amazing like David. Everyone knows you're the eldest daughter of our family, Henry said. You're ruining not just your reputation but ours too. David stood firm, shielding me from Henry. She's a person, Henry. You need her permission for what she does or where she goes. Between their argument, my condition worsened. Stomach cramps struck in waves, cold sweat formed on my brow. Looking at Henry, my eyes filled with tears of pain. I don't want to go with you. Henry smirked with a warning tone. Oh really, sister? Your fiancé doesn't seem to know you. Should I help him enlighten him? Henry! I shouted, fists clenching. Henry shrugged off his jacket, wrapping it around my shoulders. Sun's got you sweating. Well, sister, he said, tell your fiancé who you're going with. My hands trembled uncontrollably. David noticed my fear and distress. Though he didn't know my history with Henry, he sensed I had been compromised. He backed off slightly, warning Henry, I'll be checking up on her. If I see anything's wrong, I'll take her away. I glanced gratefully at David, who looked pained. Sorry, David. I'd go with you, but I can't let you see the darker side of me. With Henry, the ride home was a blur. The wind stung like razor blades against my face. He threw me onto a basement bed, and I anxiously scanned the room. Henry tossed a camera onto my lap. You installed it yourself and forget? I shook my head. I was bluffing. I didn't do it. Henry paused before sneering, who else would? You really think it's Clara? I smirked despite myself. He said it, not me. Henry wiped his hands with a tissue, dismissing me. Clara's not as scheming as you. After you left, Mom and Dad were mad, but Clara's the one defending you. I replied, not willing to bicker. The following days, Henry stuck around, blocking David each time he visited. I was basically being held hostage by him. Clara finally managed to get him to leave. Then she opened the basement door and bragged to me, sis, David agreed to perform with me at the school festival. I couldn't be bothered to talk to her. Clara thought I didn't believe her, so she showed me their chat. When I saw the chat, it felt like something snapped inside me. I grabbed the phone, not believing my eyes, and read the chat history as if I wanted to burn the scenes into my mind. How could this be? Their conversations were way too close. I'd only been gone a few days. David was already sharing his daily life with Clara. They were like a couple in love, texting all the time. He even showed Clara our dog, Coco. Coco was a stray dog David and I rescued together. It was our shared pet. Clara seemed satisfied with my reaction. Sis, guess what stage David and I are at? She said. I asked her, red-eyed and weak, do you want to take away everything I have? She shook her head, you're wrong. Everything you have was supposed to be mine. I'm just putting the story back on the right path. Don't misunderstand. She added, "Oh, and sis, David also said he wants to perform a piano duet with me at the school festival. I lived in the countryside, but I learned a few pieces. David agreed to help me practice at his place. Isn't he sweet? Right, sis?" I couldn't listen to a word she said. Clara found it boring and rolled her eyes, then left. Once she shut the basement door, I wiped the tears off my face without any expression. Piano duet. Haha. Turns out David is actually getting back at me. The school festival came around fast. Clara wore a bright yellow princess dress and spun around in front of Mike and Wendy. Clara looks like Mom. Mom won first place in the city's piano competition when she was young. Wow, then Clara must win first place too to be more like Mom. I sat on the hard bed in the basement, listening to the laughter of a happy family upstairs, feeling a thrill I couldn't hide. I eagerly anticipated what kind of outcome Clara would face. Backstage at the festival, Clara was nervously clutching her dress, looking up at David's sharp jawline and the shadows cast by the lights on his eyelashes. She was mesmerized. She hadn't seen anyone as impressive as David in the small county town she grew up in. David noticed Clara staring at him. A quick flicker of disgust crossed his eyes, but he immediately returned to his polite demeanor and offered her his hand. "We're up soon. Don't be nervous, I'm right here with you." Clara felt her breath heat up. As they walked toward the stage's piano, David said, "Clara, sit on my left." "Huh, didn't we practice with me on the right?" David smiled, "The left side's closer to my heart." Clara, dumb as she was, fell even deeper for his charm. In the audience, Mike and Wendy proudly watched their daughter. They were discussing a meeting with David's parents for an engagement talk later. Henry felt uneasy. He couldn't believe David, in such a short time, could forget Linda and cozy up to the one Linda despised most. Midway through the performance, the gentle piano notes suddenly intensified. Everyone was caught up in the romance of the piece. No one noticed David lightly kicked the piano leg. The next moment, the piano leg on Clara's side broke, and the whole piano crashed onto her leg. Clara's screams stopped the music abruptly, leaving the audience gasping in shock. Only David calmly laid his hands down, eyes cold as he looked at Clara on the ground. Clara, pale with pain, understood the meaning in David's gaze. "Linda, you love Linda that much, huh?" David turned and left. Clara was rushed to the hospital with her parents, the school official tagging along. At the hospital, Clara was put in a cast and had to stay in bed for 3 months. Wendy, in tears, chewed out the official. But the official was perplexed how the sturdy piano broke. In the hospital room, Clara cried in Henry's arms. "David was getting revenge for your sister. I was too naive to think David loved me. He only loves sis and she only loves him. Brother, do you think sis will marry David? It hurts that we can't be with who we love." Every word drove a stake into Henry's heart. He patted Clara's head and vowed, "Clara, don't worry. Your brother will get revenge for you." Back home, Henry took away all my means of communication. Out of boredom, he tossed me an I Ching book to cultivate my morals. But as I sat on my bed with the book, my mind was at the school auditorium. Henry kicked the door open, making me jump. I put down the book and scolded, "What's your problem now?" But when I saw Henry's hateful look and the baseball bat in his hand, my heart sank. I couldn't joke about this anymore. Without giving me any chance to escape, Henry locked the door, lifted the bat, and swung at my leg. I quickly jerked my leg away, heart pounding, looking at him in disbelief. "Henry, what did I do to you? If you're mad, at least have a reason." Henry didn't speak, but his silence said everything. I turned pale and sneered bitterly. "It's because Clara stirred things up again, isn't it?" "Shut up." Henry caught me off guard and kicked me right in the leg. The pain was so intense I couldn't even make a sound or move my injured leg. When Henry saw the pained expression on my face, he finally cracked a smile. "This is for what you owe Clara." I was in so much pain that I couldn't speak. I just lay on the bed, curling up into a ball. After a while, when Henry calmed down, he noticed I was about to pass out from the pain and started to regret it. He frowned, looking at me with a face full of guilt. "Sorry, I'll take you to the hospital. Get lost." I swatted Henry's hand away from my cheek and shouted at him. I said, "Get lost. Can't you hear me?" Henry panicked. "Don't move, I'll get a doctor." Once he left, my emotions got the best of me and I had another attack. My stomach cramped up so bad it knocked me out cold. A few hours later, I woke up drenched in sweat, staring at the cast on my leg. Then it hit me, this wasn't a dream. Being stuck in the basement all this time had started to mess with my head. I was wired every night and turned into a zombie during the day, losing track of what was real and what wasn't. Deep down, I hoped to wake up to find it was all a bad dream, that I was still their beloved youngest daughter, and that Henry wouldn't treat me like an animal, that my parents would only look at me with love, not with disgust. Upstairs, I heard Henry and Clara arguing. I checked with David. He hasn't been in touch with Linda. Why are you blaming your injury on her? This was the first time Henry was ever angry with Clara. Clara leaned against the wooden railing, confused. But brother, I never said it was her. And I really don't like you hitting her all the time. It felt like she was hiding some kind of secret. Clara's eyes reflected Henry's panic. Brother, I've been to your study. She smiled sweetly. There are lots of pictures of her there. Henry took a step back. Sudden thoughts rushed into his mind. Only then did he realize his sister's true nature. Did you set up the camera in the basement? Clara didn't deny it. Admiring her freshly done nails, she said, if it weren't for the videos, I wouldn't have known you felt that way about her. Henry found breathing difficult. A long-held secret was suddenly uncovered by the one person who could do the most damage, something that couldn't see the light of day, something that could ruin him. Clara kept provoking him. You've lived with Linda for so many years. Even without blood ties, isn't it gross to feel this way? Shut up. If Linda knew your feelings, would she hate you more? Clara tooted. If I were Linda, I'd want you dead. So you covered up your love for her by abusing her in someone else's name. I never touched a hair on her head. How can you accuse me of harming her? She smiled, stepping closer to Henry, tapping his chest with her slender finger. The one hurting Linda has always been you, not me. A chill swept through and Henry slapped Clara. Henry's face turned pale, breathing heavily. Whatever, I just realized how I feel. Be careful from now on. I won't allow you to mention this to Mom and Dad. I'll take Linda away. We won't bother you. You don't understand a thing, not a thing. Henry laughed maniacally. I've known since I was a kid that Linda isn't my real sister. I never treated her like one. Clara clicked her tongue, then suddenly smiled. Henry gave her a long look and continued to warn her. Everything will be mine. If you behave, I'll take care of you. But if you act out, don't blame me for cutting family ties. A few days later, David's dad found out about the stupid things his son had done and brought him over to apologize, hoping to protect his future. Our parents weren't pleased with David, but Clara was quick to forgive him. David's father sighed in relief. Even so, Clara's eyes were still as captivated as ever when she looked at David. That made David uneasy, like he had bugs crawling all over him. Uncle, I'd like to be friends with David. She tucked her hair behind her ear shyly. I don't know why, but he feels familiar. David's father was already considering a match. All right, I'll have him help you out at school. Clara beamed sweetly. Is that really okay? It's his honor. Back when Linda was still the princess, David's dad made him get close to her on purpose. At first, David resisted, but after meeting Linda a few times, he went after her willingly. People are fickle. Nothing in this world stays the same forever. Even if David didn't want to, his dad had ways to push him. Wendy clutched her teacup, looking displeased. Except your son hurt my daughter for another woman. Being a helper? I worry she might get hurt more. David coldly retorted to Clara. Everyone knows I'm your sister's boyfriend. Clara, do you really want to be the other woman that bad? Hardly did he finish when David's father got furious and slapped him hard. Is that how I taught you to talk? Mike's expression darkened. Enough. Take your kid and go. It seems we won't be family after all, so let's drop this. Leaving, David's father noticed Clara crying in Wendy's arms and felt regretful. He wished he hadn't pushed David into things with Linda so soon, causing this whole mess. When David got home, his dad wanted to ground him. But when he walked in, he saw his wife sitting on the living room sofa. The anger on his face immediately faded. Isn't the hospital busy? Why are you back? Lucy held David's hand, looking at the injuries on his face with concern. If I didn't come back, this family might just go broke. David's dad didn't look happy. How's that possible? How? Lucy raised her voice. Our family is just as good as theirs. How dare you lower yourself and drag our son down like that? David's dad tried to defend himself, but Lucy cut him off. You've never cared about the company or our son, and you don't need to start now. David's dad opened his mouth but saw the fierceness in Lucy's eyes. He closed his mouth. After he left, Wendy was furious and had me brought to her. She slapped me right away and hugging Clara scolded me. I raised you for 18 years and this is how you repay me? I didn't raise you to be a homewrecker. You're not even on the same level as David. Only our Clara is. So be smart and find a chance to break up with that kid. I forced a smile. How could you throw your sister into the role of a mistress? Is this really how the wealthy behave? Wendy was so mad she was about to hit me again. That was supposed to be Clara's relationship. You're the thief. Sitting in my wheelchair, pale as a ghost, I said, yeah, you're right. Seeing my lifeless look, Wendy got even madder. What are you mad at me? How dare you be mad at me? I should hate you. Hate you for stealing my baby's life, my baby's health. Did I really take Clara's life and health? I raised my head, speaking clearly. I didn't swap Clara and myself 18 years ago. Neither did my real parents. I'm a victim too. Stop treating me like the villain. You dare talk back. Holding her hand, I spat out each word as if through gritted teeth. You know better than I do who stole Clara's in my life. You can't blame the real culprit, so you take it out on me, an orphan with no one. Wendy turned pale and slumped onto the sofa. Orphan. Wendy looked at me sadly. She raised me for 18 years, yet I felt like an orphan. Did I never see her as my mother? Ignoring Wendy's hurt expression, I looked at Clara. Her lashes fluttered slightly. It wasn't a nurse who switched us? Yup. Want to know who did it? Who, Linda? No, you must be trying to cause trouble. Clara looked helplessly at Wendy, seeking an explanation. But Wendy was lost in her own grief, unable to help. Clara's eyes turned red. You're playing games with me, aren't you? Just then the front door opened. Someone stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the light. It was me. The three of us turned to face the door, wearing different expressions. Clara went crazy. It's you? Henry. Wendy turned her face away. Unwilling to admit her son swapped his real sister and someone else, keeping the truth buried for years. Clara charged at him, hitting him with her fists. Henry's eyes watered, and he softly said, I'm sorry. I failed you and Linda. I exhaled heavily. Maybe now I can finally leave. But Wendy was still in denial, throwing Clara's medical report at me. Even if it's not your fault, Clara got stomach cancer because of your parents. If Clara had stayed with us, I wouldn't have let her get sick. I grabbed the report, glanced at the date and location, and was shocked. You say this is Clara's report? Wendy, wiping her tears, replied coldly, Is it supposed to be yours? I stared at the dates and hospital location, realizing it was mine. I also had stomach cancer. Clara did too. Someone stole my medical report. The dates and places match up. Clara's report had been altered with her details. Could it be Clara took my medical record? My expression filled with pain. Holding my aching stomach, my hands trembled. The report fell at Wendy's feet. Wendy, looking at Clara about to collapse, spoke in an ice-cold voice. You owe her a debt you can never repay. Swallowing the blood rising to my throat, I replied wryly, I'll repay it, Mom. Soon. Turns out I'm the only one who deserves to die. It's okay, Mom. As long as I die, your precious Clara stays alive. You'll know in the end I was the one with cancer, not Clara. But you won't grieve. You stopped loving me. I'm rejected by the world. Rejected by you all. Once I'm in my grave, please don't hit or insult me anymore. It really hurts. They're planning a big birthday bash at the swankiest 5-star hotel in S-City, celebrating their beloved daughter's return. Clara even came down to the basement, flaunting her custom-made gown. Isn't it gorgeous, Linda? I'll have countless dresses like this. Too bad you'll always be stuck in the basement with the dirt and the vermin. Wrapped in a white blanket, I was drenched in sweat, practically soaking through the fabric. Outside the basement, Wendy warmly called out Clara's name. Clara sweetly replied and then turned to me with a smile, Linda, I almost forgot today is your birthday too. But don't worry, I've got a grand gift for you. After everyone headed to the hotel, somewhere close to the basement, a raging fire broke out. I only pulled the covers off when the smoke had filled the entire basement. I wiped a lot of blood from the corner of my mouth, wanting to shout but unable to make a sound. The smoke choked me and I couldn't open my eyes. My whole body was in so much pain I had no strength left. I watched helplessly as the flames licked the basement, only a meter away from me. Suddenly, I remembered Clara's words before she left, saying she'd give me a big gift. Turns out she wanted me dead. My legs had been broken by Henry, and I clumsily fell from the bed to the floor with beads of sweat rolling down my forehead, quickly evaporating in the heat of the room. In the last moments before my death, past memories flashed before my eyes like a flickering movie. I hoped in my next life I wouldn't be in this world. It hurt too much. I quietly lay on the ground, waiting for the flames to cover me, to painfully burn me alive. I unwillingly closed my eyes. At the 5-star hotel, Mike and Wendy were still happily watching their daughter, like a little princess, become the center of attention. But the next moment, someone told them there was a fire at their house. They remembered they had a daughter with a broken leg at home. Wendy fainted in shock. Mike was frozen in place, his heart breaking a little. "Did you call the fire department?" he shouted. Henry sat on the side, drinking sullenly, and saw Clara walking over with a smile. He turned away with a bad attitude. Clara tilted her head, teasing, "Bro, you promised to come to my birthday party. Cheer up a bit, will ya?" Henry snorted, ignoring her. If Clara hadn't promised that after the party she'd ask Wendy to let Linda go, and let him take her abroad, he wouldn't be celebrating Clara's birthday at all. Clara casually swirled the wine in her glass. "Too bad, bro, you can't take Linda now." Henry's head shot up, about to ask what she meant, but then he saw Wendy fainting in the distance. "Mom!" Henry rushed towards Wendy. Mike, unsteady on his feet, grabbed Henry's arm, his expression pained. "There's a fire at home. Your sister is still in the basement." Henry felt momentarily blacked out. After the fire was put out, the basement had collapsed and Linda's remains couldn't be found. All traces of her life vanished with the fire. Clara comforted Wendy, suggesting they shouldn't hold a funeral for Linda, claiming, "You're already heartbroken over her. If you held a funeral, it'd be too much to bear." Wendy cried until her eyes were swollen. Henry, too, as if stripped of his soul, shut himself in the house he'd prepared for Linda, clutching an empty bottle in agony and regret, then threw it into a corner. When Linda was alive, they'd routinely done cruel things to her. But after her death, they regretted it deeply. They didn't even try to find out who was behind the mysterious fire. It was Lucy who called the police and found those behind the arson attack. The gang revealed to the cops that Clara was the mastermind. The police arrested Clara. Clara, scared white as a sheet, knelt and begged Mike and Wendy for mercy. "If Linda hadn't taken my life and health, I wouldn't have done this to her. Mom, aren't you Linda's legal guardian? Write me a letter of forgiveness." Upon hearing the news, Henry rushed over. In front of the cops, he violently pinned Clara and started beating her up. Even with the cops restraining him, he kept shouting that he would kill Clara. Clara, covering her red, swollen face, cried in despair and sadness, "Mom, Linda's gone. You've already lost one daughter, will you lose another?" Wendy bit her finger, crying until she was almost blind. "And I have cancer, I won't live much longer," Clara added. "Let me stay by your side until I die." Actually, Clara had saved money, planning to sneak abroad. Those words were just to trick them. Just when Wendy was about to agree to Clara's plea and write her the letter, the police uncovered a bigger case. "Linda's your child, but what about John and his wife from Tao County?" Wendy was confused. "What do you mean?" Before coming to City A, Clara lived with John and his wife at a pig farm. Later, after you found her, John and his wife mysteriously died in a car accident. We've been working with local law enforcement and found that Clara tampered with John's car. Clara sat as pale as a ghost on the floor. Wendy wasn't surprised at all. They abused Clara, so they got what they deserved. The police couldn't take it, but from what the locals say, John and his wife were respected in the community. Clara lived with them and never wanted for anything. Wendy was in disbelief. Then why does Clara have stomach cancer? So they were acting nice outside but abusing Clara at home. The officer glanced at Clara, who looked as lifeless as a ghost. "Regarding Clara's health, she'll need a full hospital evaluation afterward."
Clara panicked. "No.
"I have medical reports. I don't need a checkup." Lucy, who had been silent, took Clara's report, only needing a quick glance to understand everything. This report belonged to Linda. The four of them were stunned. Clara couldn't believe the report she casually stole was Linda's. Henry remembered Linda having her tests done at the hospital that day. He thought Linda didn't want Clara to come home. But he never imagined it was Linda who had cancer. Lucy sneered, "Well, if you don't believe me, there are cameras in the hospital hallway." Mike and Wendy glared at Clara bitterly, "So you've been lying to us all along. Poor Linda, it was a mistake to ever bring you back home. If I'd known you'd harm her." The only answer they got was their own sorrowful cries. Lucy let out a long sigh. "You didn't care for Linda when she was alive, and now you're putting on a show." A month after Linda's death, Clara was sentenced to death for the responsibility of 3 lives and executed a year later. During this time, she kept begging the prison guards to contact her parents. But Mike and Wendy were under Henry's control, forbidden to reach Clara. On the day of Clara's execution, Henry bound Mike and Wendy together, pouring gasoline in every corner of the room like a madman. "Linda died in a fire all because of you two. Who told you to bring Clara back home?" Mike shouted at him, "Isn't this all because of you? If you hadn't switched the babies, would it have ended up like this?" Henry never admitted his mistakes. He had always buried his head in the sand, pretending innocence, believing he was also a victim. Until the blazing inferno, when Mike and Wendy's heart-wrenching screams filled the room. A tear traced down Henry's cheek. "Linda, your brother is coming for you." Across the ocean on a beach, a beautiful girl lay on a deck chair. A handsome young man with scarred hands rubbed sunscreen on her back. His hands looked like they had been through a fire. But she didn't mind, because it was while saving her that his hands ended up looking like that. That day, just as I was quietly waiting for death, David came to save me from the flames. He wrapped me in a wet blanket and dashed through the fire alone. Besides his hands, other parts of him bore signs of the fire's touch too. Later, Lucy secretly sent us abroad, told David to take good care of me. She said she'd handle things back home and my unjust situation. Plus, she said her friends abroad would treat my cancer. As long as I cooperated with the treatment, there was an 80% chance of success. I gritted my teeth and agreed. It seems fate didn't let me die in the fire, and it won't let cancer take me either. "David, Auntie Chun told me Henry and the parents killed themselves." David calmly put the lid back on the sunscreen. "That's what they deserved. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to affect your health." Hearing the word health made my expression pained. "Do I need more surgery?" "Not only more surgery, but you also need to take your meds regularly, eat on time, and avoid spicy or hard-to-digest foods." David gave me a look full of indescribable fatigue. "Only once you're healthy can you keep your promise to stay with me till old age." I gently hooked my pinky with David's, my voice a bit muffled. "That's a promise. I'll definitely grow old with you, David. Forever and ever." The end.